Hello, and welcome to another episode of Motales. I'm Dave's minion, CudaPete, and today will be the fourth in our series of what was involved in supply and manufacture of auto parts for the Chrysler Corporation back in the mid-1980s. So, as I spoke before, we talked about engineering, we talked about supplier quality, and we talked about material handling. Today, we're going to be at the assembly plant and see how things worked out there. So as part of my assignment at Chrysler, I was assigned to the Newark, Delaware assembly plant to work on the AA body launch in 1988, and that was for the 1989 Dodge Spirit Plymouth Acclaim. So once I got to the plant, as part of supplier quality, part of my responsibility was to make sure that the parts were being delivered correctly and that the plant was receiving quality items. So I would walk the line every day and look at what was going on, talk to the guys, make sure everything was fitting properly, make sure everything was labeled properly, the boxes were correct, and if there were any issues, I would have to report back and we'd get the suppliers involved. In the beginning, an assembly plant is a large place, and trying to find your way around can be difficult. But in this handbook, it took a lot of the information for the AA cars and compiled it into a small area so that it was easily accessible and that you can reference it as needed. So what would be included in this book? We had things like the AA body sales codes, the AA body sales packages, vehicle identification plate, and body code plate, how to interpret those. We had the body and white parts list and the assembly information and tolerances. So this way you could go over to the body shop and you could see which parts were there and where they went on the car before it was actually assembled. And that was quite interesting because a lot of it was automated and the welding was done by robots. So you had to make sure that the parts were in the right place at the right time and everything got put together correctly. And then you'd have to go through at the beginning and count the number of welds, make sure everything was good because this was the initial startup for the AA body. So of course there were a few things that had to be sorted out along the way. So that was rather interesting. Other things we had to look at were the wiring harnesses and connectors. Even at that time, cars were getting a lot more complex. The harnesses were very complex, so we had to make sure that the right wiring harnesses and connectors were being delivered so everything could be attached to the car properly on the assembly line. Other things that we looked at were wheels and wheel covers, alignment settings. When the cars came off the line, the wheels had to be aligned, so the alignment settings were even included. And of course, the most important thing was paint codes and color compatibility. Of course, you didn't want to get on the line and have a blue car coming down the line and a red bumper being stuck on it. So this was also very important that we had to look and make sure that all the paint codes of all the parts that were coming in that were pre-painted would match up just in time with the cars that were coming down the line so the colors were consistent. So that was all part of the quality process that was in the plant. So once the cars were complete, they would go through their own quality inspection, which did not involve supplier quality, but was done by a different group. And then the cars would be made ready for transport across the country to different dealerships. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment below, please do. Thank you very much for watching.
This is Dave, and I'd like to talk to you just briefly about the Newark plant in Delaware. Chrysler bought it in 1938 as a parts depot. They started converting it to tank production in 1951, and then the Korean War ended, and they started phasing out the tank business and phasing in cars, and they eventually made 7 million cars. In 1956, with the Korean War ended, the tank plant started a 5-year phase-out process, and the 1.5 million square foot Plymouth plant started construction. They built their first 67,000 Plymouths in 1957. The last tank was made in 1961, and then the second shift joined the Plymouth plant, which had its millionth car in 1965. In 1980, during Chrysler's brush with bankruptcy, Delaware was the first state to approve loaning Chrysler money, in this case $5 million. And that loan was paid off really quickly, and the plant was quickly retooled to build K cars in 1981. They had also made the LeBaron Coupe and convertible. In 1988, Chrysler spent over $300 million to retool the plant to build the loosely K-based AA body Plymouth Acclaim and Dodge Spirit, which were joined in 1990 by the similar Chrysler LeBaron. In 1993, they switched over to make the first Dodge Intrepids there. In 1997, they put $623 million into the plant to get ready to make the Dodge Durango. When Durango and Aspen sales fell, Chrysler had just been handed off to Cerberus Capital Management, and they closed the plant and eventually sold the property to the University of Delaware, which documented the plant fully, then demolished it, rehabilitated the property, and built a new campus extension there. So it's a happier ending than it could have been. Join Pete for part 5 or go back to part 3 because this is part 4 in a series.